Hi guys, this is Michael Lucy from ProFi Fitness School. I'm the General Manager, and today I'm delighted to introduce our new tutor, Stone Williams. Thanks for coming on this morning, Stone.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So Stone is going to just tell us firstly a little bit about his own background, and Stone, just tell us about your experience in the industry.
Hi. Well, like was said previously, my name is Stone Williams. I am a personal trainer and a student of physiotherapy or physical therapy, depending where you're from, in the Wrocław University of Sports and Medical Science. I've been a trainer for a while, and recently I've come into a specialization in motricity. Due to the fact that I translated a book by one of my anatomy professors who sent the subject along, and that kind of sent me down a winding road kind of into the subject of human motricity.
Okay, so for fitness professionals listening in, could you tell us a bit more about what exactly is motricity?
Sure. Motricity is a concept that generally encompasses the ability and capacity for people and for organisms in general, but in this context, we're going to be specifically focusing on human motricity to move. So this encompasses both the musculoskeletal system, meaning our movement system, our bones, our muscles, our ligaments, etc., but also our nervous system and the close relationship these two systems have with each other, and especially the psychological kind of element that is also connected with movement, essentially, how these things connect with each other, and the development of movement generally towards throughout ontogeny, meaning what movement patterns or habits we develop while growing up and while living our life, essentially.
And why do you think understanding motricity is important for professionals in the fitness, health, and therapy sectors? Like, we're thinking personal trainers, instructors, physiotherapists. Why is it important for them to understand this?
Well, generally speaking, motricity is kind of like a basic intro into physical fitness that is often skipped by most professionals, because a lot of the basic knowledge that is encompassed in motricity is skipped over just because it seems common knowledge. For example, the concept of motor abilities, meaning strength, speed, endurance, and it's leaving my head right now, coordination, seems very banal, seems like something that's very, like I said, common knowledge. But an in-depth knowledge of such things allows us to kind of come out of our, come out of our comfort zone, to be able to branch into new clients and branch into working with people who have very specific goals. For example, an in-depth understanding of what actually strength is and what coordination is could help us work with clients, for example, who are interested in powerlifting or other sports that are related, because it allows us to actually create periodization plans that are specifically built for specific clients. And such things seem very, very basic for people who are specialized in powerlifting, but with us as trainers, it's good to be very well versed. So if a client comes to us wanting to achieve a specific goal, with basic kind of common knowledge stuff in motricity, for example, motor abilities and all that, it allows us to branch out essentially and be more versatile. And so, for example, most of our clients usually are people who show up to us as, let's say businessmen, businesswomen who want to get into general physical fitness and get in shape, like, six-pack abs, all that kind of stuff, which is cool. But sometimes we'll have clients who show up and, for example, they say they want to get into sprinting or they want to run a marathon. And if we don't feel especially specialized in that field, we end up having to, for example, deny a client, send them off to another trainer who could be more specialized. And just understanding these very basic concepts allows us to essentially just pick in as many clients as possible and be able to actually deliver on what they personally expect from us as trainers, since we are providing a service and they're paying hard-earned, often large sums of cash, essentially, to achieve a goal.
Yeah, it sounds like you get a very versatile range of knowledge to deal with a whole different niche of clients, from, as you said, strength and conditioning, sports specific, and it's very obvious you have a very deep knowledge of this. So, in terms of that knowledge, like, what really first inspired your interest in the subject of motricity, and was there like a personal or professional turning point that just led you to explore it more deeply?
Well, I think in the start of my kind of, let's say, fitness journey, I was completely, unaware, and I think a lot of people start in the very similar, especially around my age, in a very similar manner, where just one day decide to go to the gym, start working out for own personal gain, and just start by maybe not using a personal trainer, but just by piecing together knowledge and information from the internet without an actual, let's say, full walkthrough, piece by piece, which skips over the elements of motricity, which I mentioned previously. So I was led down to pretty much finding out what motricity even is in college. Like I said, right now I'm studying physical therapy in Poland, and I was approached by one of my professors from anatomy to translate a book he had written for a subject mostly based for students of physical fitness, students who want to become, for example, gym teachers, but just a general opening to motricity. And while translating that book, I really started to notice how important, all of these things really are, just in basic, fitness. As a trainer, it was just things I was not thinking about because, like I said, clients approach us with sport-specific goals. And I, as someone who, for example, mostly just trains at the gym and trains clients at a gym, I can't say I've had personal experience in, but, like I said, basic knowledge can bring us a long way. And I think as personal trainers, we kind of understand that the basics can take us a long way. So that kind of drove me down that kind of road into trying to get more knowledge and be better at what I do.
Okay, well, and how, like, let's talk like real life examples here. So everyday life, how it shows up in different sports or physical disciplines. Like, why do you believe motricity plays such a crucial role in daily functioning and performance?
Well, yeah, I'm going to give an example. Like, for example, we have a powerlifter, for example. I'm just going to base most of my analogies over that, since that's what I've put in the beginning. A client shows up to us and says they have a powerlifting meet in, for example, a couple months, let's say 6, 7, 8 months. And we need to build a plan for such a client to be able to achieve set short-term goals that will end up bringing us to our long-term goal, which would, for example, be to set a certain PR or a certain just a certain goal or a certain place in a powerlifting meet. And by understanding what the sport of powerlifting really requires from us on a motor sense, then we're able to pretty much break up the training periodization into certain blocks that will be able to get our person what he wants. So, for example, what we think about with powerlifting would probably be strength. It's the first thing that comes to mind, where a powerlifter just needs to be strong, lift the most amount of weight, and all that. So we know strength is built up by both muscle mass, but also the ability to recruit as many motor units at a single time. And so it's not only just raw muscular strength that we're using, it's also a lot of coordination to be able to push the most amount of weight the most effectively. That's why when we have people like Ronnie Coleman, for example, who are absolutely enormous, they're not beating the world's strongest men or many top powerlifters in a competition of just sheer, let's say, deadlift, squat, and bench press, because they haven't gone through the kind of neural technique work that is very specific to powerlifting. And, for example, Olympic lifting as well. So that's why we often see people who are generally don't have a large frame, but are able to push large amounts of range weight, because they compensate with that other kind of side of the coin, which is, the ability to coordinate your body and effectively optimize a movement. And that is part of motricity, is understanding that. So while making a plan, for example, a power lifter, a first block or a mesocycle would usually probably consist of mostly hypertrophy training to just have the largest possible muscles. But that's only for a few weeks until we move on to more sports-specific kind of essentially coordinational training, which is teaching the body how to work under heavy load, and how to optimize the movement, like I've mentioned previously, to just push as much weight as humanly possible, engaging the most amount of muscle as possible, essentially, and the nervous system. So we're connecting two different motor abilities, which are strength and which is coordination, to build the most effective plan. And that's why most powerlifters, for example, have technique sessions where they throw in light weights and just try to do a set amount of reps for a set amount of volume, generally, with the most perfect possible form. So us as personal trainers, we're essentially combining those two aspects together to make a periodization plan and make everything go smoothly, essentially, to gain our goal. Because if, for example, someone showed up to us and they just wanted to for example, hit a 150 kilo bench or whatever, 140, then it wouldn't probably just be smart to have them do, flies and stuff like that, more, specific things, essentially.
Yeah. So it's very clear that it is absolutely crucial in everyday function and performance. Despite your own age, Stone, you're already recognized as an accomplished personal trainer. How did your journey in the fitness world begin, and how has your perspective evolved as you've gained more experience?
Yeah, like I said previously, it was essentially just me wanting to start moving post-COVID, and just kind of get more into shape, because everyone, I think a lot of people either got really fit during COVID or turned into essentially a couch potato. And I was a couch potato, just constantly sitting in front of my computer, essentially doing nothing. And I got very, very personally invested into going to the gym, a lot. But like I said, my most of my knowledge was pretty much just pieced together through through the internet. What's on YouTube? What's this? What's that? And I think my approach was very healthy, as in I took what I personally thought was important, and I didn't fall for a lot of the, let's say, fitness industry kind of Instagram reel, TikTok method, which is just throwing out a lot of big words and hoping people bite. And I just kind of kept to it for a long time until I officially decided that I think I want to essentially kind of formalize my knowledge and put it into use, essentially, for other people, which is why I decided to become a personal trainer, and as well as in the future a physical therapist, because those two things, in my opinion, should go hand to hand, and the cooperation of those two lines of work is really imperative to have a healthy kind of way of physical fitness. So when it comes to things that I've kind of learned over the years that I definitely didn't pay attention to in the beginning, is focusing on basic movements and basic basic concepts that seem just very kind of almost boring, because constantly, due to social media, we're bombarded by all of these big fat words, big concepts, and optimization, science-based, which is all fine and good. But especially for beginners, it's very important just to throw in basic compound movements and kind of mastering the basics, majoring in the majors and not majoring in the minors, essentially. And I think that's very important. And it's a very skipped over element, is a lot of people are just kind of, jumping into machines and not mastering basic barbell movements. And I think that was something I did in the beginning as well. So yeah, and I think that also allowed me to kind of understand all of this motricity stuff that is involved as well. Just kind of essentially learning the basics of motricity is mastering the basics of physical fitness.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to share from your personal or professional perspective? Perhaps like something that the others in the industry often overlook when it comes to movement and the human body.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't really mentioned the fact of how much psychological elements can play on physical fitness. Just in general, someone's mindset. And how that can influence essentially our work as personal trainers with clients and with people in general. Because if someone is showing up to the gym and just kind of, let's say a client, and they just want to kind of knock it out essentially, then it's not going to be the most effective work, and we're not really going to see the effects we want to see in our short kind of, short-term goals that we see from week to week. Because the psychological element really it plays an extremely large part, and I think it's often completely ignored essentially, because most people assume that people who go to the gym just want to be there, but a lot of the time, for a lot of especially clients, people who don't go into this by themselves, a lot of the time they just they don't think about it. Us as trainers don't think about it because we like what we do a lot of the time. We're people who go into this profession because we enjoy essentially working out, going to the gym, having a healthy lifestyle. But not everyone is like that, unfortunately. But people still have goals to meet, and it's our job essentially to motivate such people in a way, and kind of make things definitely more comfortable and just enjoyable in general for clients, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because like clients aren't going to always be motivated to go to the gym. It's really important as a fitness professional to keep them interested and keep their training fresh to make sure they show up for themselves every time. So I think you've made a really good point there, Stone. So on that, would you like to mention anything about a potential upcoming workshop, Stone?
Yeah, I'd like to see you guys on a future workshop related to motricity. It's going to be kind of an intro into the before mentioned basics of motricity. That's going to come up soon. So I'd like to see you all guys in the audience, essentially, to join in.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time this morning, Stone. And guys, if any of that resonated with you, or you'd like to ask some questions to Stone directly prior to the webinar, you can get in touch with me, Michael Ducey, General Manager of ProFi Fitness School. Just email me on profi.fitnessmanager@gmail.com, and I will get in touch with Stone, and we can answer any of your questions prior to the webinar. And look out for details on our website and our social media pages as well. Thank you very much, Stone, for your time. It's been very, very interesting.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cool.
I appreciate it.